Hi, you guys. Welcome to Pepper Marie Studios. I just want to take a few minutes of your time and go into more detail about the I'm the Pacifier campaign and why it's so important to me and why it should be important to you too. As you probably saw in one of my other videos that I told you how my mom breastfed all four of us, and she always talked about the benefits of breastfeeding for the mom and the benefits for the babies. So for me, when I became a mom, didn't even give it a second thought. I'm going to breastfeed. And it wasn't until then that I realized how taboo breastfeeding is in America and how many problems women encounter while breastfeeding out and about in public or even in the privacy of their own home. People look down on it sometimes, and it's something that needs to change in our society. That needs to change. We need to normalize breastfeeding. Most countries worldwide are completely accepting of breastfeeding. It's, second nature to them. People don't even give it a second thought. Women can breastfeed whenever and wherever they want. Unfortunately, here in America, that's not the case. A lot of women get double glances. People make comments. People slam moms for breastfeeding in public. Now, luckily, our government is kind of ahead of our society, which is, typically the other way around. But when it comes to breastfeeding, just about everywhere, it's legal for women to breastfeed in public, covered or not covered. And the only time someone can actually tell you that you can't breastfeed where you're at is in the privacy of their home. But other than that, you can breastfeed wherever you want to, whenever you want to. When your baby's hungry, feed them. But for society, the thinking hasn't caught up to the laws. People still take issue with women breastfeeding out in public, and they take issue with, some women take issue with breastfeeding, period, because they think it's weird, or there's some sexual element to it, or it's an inconvenience. And that needs to change. The education on breastfeeding needs to change. The perception of breastfeeding needs to change. And, the I'm the Pacifier campaign is a very small thing to, it's a very small campaign, but I do hope that it will make an impact on normalizing breastfeeding. And when I wear my shirt out, or one of my kids wears their shirt, my son, he's 4, he has a shirt that says breastfed, and he's very proud of it, and he wears it, and he'll say, hey, I'm breastfed, and he'll openly talk about it. Yeah, I used to have mommy's milk. He loves it. So does my daughter. So do I. So when I wear it, people, if it was another breastfeeding mom that I run into and they see the shirt, they're like, hey, that's awesome. I breastfed too. If it's someone who doesn't know a lot about breastfeeding, aren't really educated in it, I'll get questions. So what do you mean you're the pacifier? What's your shirt all about? And what's great about that is it opens up the door for conversation. It opens up the door for me to tell my story. So, typically it's like, oh, I breastfeed all my kids. My son breastfed until he was 3.5. I'm still currently tandem nursing my 2-year-old and my 6-month-old. So, and that opens up for more questions. What do you mean you nursed your son until he was 3.5? Isn't that too old? How are you nursing 2 kids at once? How can your body keep up with that? What struggles did you have with breastfeeding? And so this opens up the door for me to educate people and to bring awareness to breastfeeding, which I think is great. So if you are going to, sport the I'm the Pacifier shirt, or one of your kids is going to be wearing the breastfed shirt, or my mom's the Pacifier shirt, people are going to ask you too, and it's going to give you the chance to openly talk about your story about breastfeeding, whether, you breastfed for 2 weeks, or you breastfed until your kid was 4, or anywhere in between. Way to go, good job. But it lets you express yourself and lets you tell your story, which helps normalize breastfeeding in general. My goal, my wish is for when my daughter has her kids and when my daughter-in-laws have their kids, that there won't be any taboo wrapped around breastfeeding, that it will just be, you carry around a little human in your body for 40 weeks, hopefully you get to 40 weeks, and the next step in being a mom and having children is you breastfeed. That, there won't be this big question, oh, are you going to breastfeed or are you going to formula feed? And if you formula feed, fine, great, awesome. You're feeding your child, good for you. But it shouldn't be that women who do breastfeed should have to worry about going out in public and feeding their kid, or worry about people at all in any ways. It shouldn't be doubted or questioned. It should just be, it's normal. That's what you do when you have a kid, you breastfeed them. And it didn't used to be that way. We didn't used to have formula, and thank God we do for people who can't breastfeed. But formula wasn't made for people to choose whether or not to breastfeed. It was invented so that women who couldn't breastfeed had a way of feeding their child and nourishing them. And my hope is that the next generation, the generation after, it won't be this big debate, formula or breastfed, or you're doing right or you're doing wrong. Everybody has a choice to do what they want to do, but I would like it to be that, hey, I had a kid, now it's time for me to nourish that child, whether it be a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months. I want all women to breastfeed. I want all women to know the benefits of breastfeeding and how great it is for their body, how it kickstarts the healing process after being pregnant for however long you're pregnant, that it helps prevent cancers, that it helps with, the list goes on. And again, different video will get into the benefits of breastfeeding. And I'm not knocking anybody in my generation for formula feeding. I have women in my life that I'm close to and I love and I support who have formula fed with an educated choice to do so. But that taboo is still wrapped around breastfeeding for my generation and the generations, before me, that I've had women tell me, well, I don't want my kid sucking on my breast. It's just so weird. Or it's so hard. It's an inconvenience. And, people aren't raised with it. So is it normal? And I think the more we normalize breastfeeding, the easier it is for women to get the education and the support they need to be successful at it. And I think, the longer this goes on and the more we support it, the more women who will breastfeed. And that's great for her whole society. The benefits of breastfeeding not only is great for my kids, but it's great for you that my kids are breastfed, because the benefits and the health benefits and the brain benefits and everything that goes along with breastfeeding makes for an awesome combination that builds these, really great humans. So this is important, and normalizing breastfeeding is important. It's very important to me. It's important for me and my children, and it should be important for you, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're a mom, whether you're not a mom. This is something that needs to change. This is something we need to change people's mindsets on breastfeeding, and I feel that the campaign on the Pacifier can help with that. So when you do purchase an I'm Pacifier shirt, not only are you going out there and you're bringing awareness and educating people when they, talk to you about your shirt, but a portion of the proceeds goes towards different foundations. So if you buy one of the Pacifier shirts when it's not connected to a fundraiser, 10% of that sales goes to the Litchi League. If I'm in the middle of a fundraiser with a group, like right now, the Pacifier campaign is in conjunction with a local Chicago breastfeeding group. $5 of every sale from all the different items in the campaign goes towards supporting that nonprofit breastfeeding group. So if you have a breastfeeding group that you want to support, you can definitely, connect with me and we could do a fundraiser for them as well. So not only are you normalizing it by wearing it, but you're also putting money towards different groups and support groups for moms to become educated and have the support that they need in order to be successful at breastfeeding, which I think is really important. So I hope you agree with me, and I hope you'll come along and join the fight in normalizing breastfeeding, and have a great day. Thanks.